So here's my next video on how to make an easy Irish crochet lace baby bonnet. So I've got 4 squares and I need to attach them together. Normally I would attach them as I'm making them, so I'd only be joining up one side at a time. But because I was demonstrating on how to make the squares, I've now got to attach all the 4 pieces together. I've finished on a row with bars, and I've finished one row here with picots. So this is going to be the front of the bonnet, and now I'm going to have to attach this square to that square. So what I've done is I've pinned them out so you can see. If you pin out the corresponding picot loops of each square, it gives you an idea of where you're going to, and it gives you an idea of whether you're going to get it wrong or not. I advise you to change from row to row by doing slip stitches, because it does make it easier to get it all to square off. I find that if you just continue without going up via slip stitches into the next row, that you often get one picot loop more on one of the squares, so it doesn't really match up. So on my last square I finished with a row of bars, and now I need to make the next row, which are all the picots, and that's the row I'm going to use to join squares together. So I did one row at the front here because that's going to be the top of the hat and it's not joining onto anything. So I've reached the first bar, and I'm going to join a picot to this particular bar on the square. So this one will face the top, and I'm joining a picot loop to this particular loop to join the 2 sides together. So I'll show you how I do that. I chain 7, make a picot in the 5th chain from the hook, and I do that through the back to make it tighter. Make a single crochet, chain 1. Now I pick up the next now I do need to make sure that they're both facing the right way. So as you can see, this way they're facing both the right way. I stick my hook through the loop I want, make a slip stitch, chain 6, make another picot in the 5th from the hook, chain 2, and now I'm going to reattach it to the unfinished square, and I'm making and finishing it off as a first picot loop on the bar. chain 2, and then reattach it to the next spot on the bar. So as you can see, I'm going to zigzag my way all the way up to the top, going from going from one side to the other until I reach the top. It looks complicated, and sometimes you just need to lay your work out and pin it just to make sure you're going right. It is a bit tricky. You can get it wrong, but then you just start again. So the next loop on the other side. And I reattach it to the next loop available. And as you can see, I'm zigzagging between the two now. So I've reached the end of the row, and as you can see, I've ended with a picot loop that ends on the bar. So now I need to attach another square onto this side, and I'll be doing exactly the same as I was doing before. Again, make sure it's on the right side. So now I'm going to attach this square to this one. So to do that, I'm going to make a picot loop and attach it to this particular picot on the bar. So again, I'll be making a picot loop. And I'm attaching it to this picot over here. So here we are. This picot loop's attached there, and now I'm going to work my way along again and finish off all the joining up. It looks complicated and it can feel frustrating, certainly if you think you're getting it wrong. And the best thing you can do then is to pin it out and maybe use stitch markers to connect them together so that you know where you're going. But I find that stitch markers can be just as confusing, so maybe different colours, I don't know. It is the hardest part of making a hat, is joining the squares. So here's the next square attached, and I've ended here where I'm going to make the 2 picot loops over the bar, and I'm going to connect this first picot to this picot on the next square. You get a gap here, but I found that it looks the best when you finish that with the row that we're going to do all around to finish it. I found that a couple of chains between there was better than connecting them up like this. It tended to lie better, so we sort that out on the last row when we finish the squares, when we make the edge. So here are all the squares joined up, and now all we need to do is make an edge. So don't worry too much about this or this. We sort that out with the edge.